Welcome to Getting to Know Google SecOps. I'm John Stoner, and today we're going to introduce the use of reference lists to our YARA-L rules. Reference lists provide an easy way to identify multiple values within a single field for a rule without having to build an OR statement. For example, if there were 5 IP addresses we wanted to find, writing field equals value 1 or field equals value 2 and so on would get pretty tedious. Instead, we can build a reference list, add the values of interest, and simply use the syntax of field in %, which tells us that we are going to use a reference list, followed by the name of the reference list. Today, we're going to use a string reference list, which is case sensitive. In future videos, we'll cover additional reference list types, including regex and citer. Let's take a look at how we can use reference lists. We're going to build a rule that detects core-light network connections that originate outside our defined net block of 10.128.0.0/24 and connect into it. We are excluding ICMP events, and we are grouping our detections by the principal IP address over a 30-minute window. In the outcome section, we're generating a count of the number of events within each detection to determine how many events are occurring within our match window. When we test our rule, we can see we have 73 detections, with a number of detections having numerous connection events associated with these external IP addresses. Let's look at how we could use a string reference list to help us in our rule. Perhaps we've been running this type of rule, and over time, we've been researching these different IP addresses and determined that some of them are suspicious and some of them are totally legitimate. While we could write an OR statement with all of the IPs that we have determined are suspicious, that would be onerous and would have to be replicated in other searches or rules. Instead, we can create a reference list, in this case called suspicious IP list, and add our IPs to that list. We've already added a few IP addresses from our result set to this list to demonstrate how a list like this can be used in a rule. Notice how we can also add a comment to a value by using 2 forward slashes, just like we do in a YARA-L rule. When we test our rule now, we are only getting detections that match the principal.ip field to IP addresses on the list. If we wanted to generate detections based on values not on our list, we could easily add the operator not to the beginning of our line and return those events as detections instead. So far, so good? A common response we get is, that's great, but we want to build a rule around a suspicious port list. Can we do that? The answer is yes, but there's a slight twist. Because ports are stored as numeric fields in UDM, and this reference list is a string, we would get a type mismatch error if we add this criteria to our rule in the same manner we did our IP address. To solve this, we can convert this numeric value in the port field to a string by using the function strings.concat and appending a null value to the end of our target.port. Our result is that our port numbers are now evaluated as strings that can be compared to our string reference list of suspicious ports. For readability's sake, we added an array distinct aggregation function to our outcome variable called ports and added it to our results so we can more easily see our results. If we wanted to apply this same kind of rule, but to internal traffic, we could remove the not statement from our principal IP address, and this time we can see connections over 135 and 445 for our internal IP address pairs, but not port 25 or 21 traffic. During our demonstration, we highlighted how we can use string reference lists to easily find multiple values within a field without writing a large OR statement. The syntax for this is the UDM field name followed by in, a %, and the list name. This syntax can also be used in search, and these reference lists can be reused in multiple rules, making them nice and portable. While we only covered the string reference list today, there are additional citer and regex options that we will explore in future videos that provide additional flexibility depending upon the detection rule. If you want to learn more about Google SecOps, check out my blog series called New to Google SecOps for more handy tips. We have a number of community YARA-L detections at our GitHub site and are continually adding more. And don't forget to engage the security community at secopscommunity.com.